for listening to Unleashing Your Psychic Abilities with Holly Matthews Live. You can also send a question or comment to Holly after the show at azspiritualmedium@hotmail.com. That's azspiritualmedium@hotmail.com. Now back to Unleashing Your Psychic Abilities.
Good morning and welcome back to Unleashing Your Psychic Abilities. I'm here with my colleague and friend David Stipes, who has studied metaphysical and the writings of Edgar Cayce since 1969. David, what are some of the ways that you have enjoyed these sensing abilities?
I've had several things that have come up and developed over the years. What I thought was interesting that came up pretty quickly was dreams. The use of the cautionary dreams, like I'd get cautioned about something. A lot of times I had precognitive dreams, especially in terms of my work. I would get a dream that would tell me I was going to get a job or not get a job. I tried to do a merger with another company once, and everything looked like it was going to fly, and then I had a dream of walking over to the facility, and the facility was gone. There was an empty lot. And so I knew that had gone away, that opportunity had gone away, and a couple of days later the guy called me up and said, yep, the deal is dead. So I've had some of those wonderful kinds of experiences. I also wind up dreaming for other people. So I will have dreams to help somebody. Then I'll call them up and say, hey, how things are going? I had a dream about you, and then I can talk about some physical experiences or things that are going on with them. So sometimes that can be really helpful as a kind of a nice blessing for other people. I've also have developed this idea, the ability to be doing kind of a semi-channeling. Over the years, I've had some experiences where I felt like angels were talking with me, and then I've had some cases where people asked for really unusual pieces of information. And I just going like, oh my goodness, I have no idea what to say. And then I ask, and then I'll get this message to help them. So that's been really good. And then, of course, the life seals and aura drawings.
Great. I noticed that the blessings in my life, the ways that I've enjoyed it, is just the sense of peace. Because when you understand that you can tap into universal source, you can tap into truth and understanding and enlightenment of maybe not necessarily the actuality of it, but on what to do to lead you to the best possible probability or best possible circumstances. It gives you such a sense of peace. And being an empath at an early age and having these emotions and feelings just overrun, I knew that I had a gift, but it was so difficult to try to control. So the blessing of being able to learn how to control it and use it in such a positive, healthy way has just given me peace and joy and just a wonderful sense of self, and actually a good feeling about myself, because I do appreciate these beautiful gifts.
Well, that kind of comes, a lot of my feelings about that too. One of the things that has been really special about developing a connection with spirit is to, one, realize I actually have a purpose in life. I can actually make a difference, to various degrees in the world, and to people and my friends and, people that come to me for help. I can make a difference. I have some importance, some way of being a channel of God's love to the world. And so that's given me a wonderful sense of knowing, of connectedness, connected to the universe. I'm not just a little speck of protoplasm floating out here with no purpose. I'm not an accident.
David, what are some of the ways that you've enjoyed using your clairsentience in your readings and your life seals?
Okay. So some of the ways I've enjoyed it, well, we talked about that a little bit, and some of these experiences.
How do you use the clairsentience when you're doing a life seal reading? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm just confused. I have several things that I do. Primarily, I tend to be a visual person. So I'm winding up tuning in to the person. I do use Reiki as a vehicle of communicating with the person. I love to use touch. I love to hold their hands to make a connection. I've had some people talk about how it feels like I'm drawing the energy out from them through my hands. The other thing that I will sometimes do is, of course, touch their forehead and then try to feel the emotion. So I have a lot of visual stuff, I have some tactile stuff, and then I have this emotional thing where I can connect on several different levels.
I know when I had my reading with you, it was interesting because I knew you were a little hesitant in doing a reading for me.
Oh, yeah,
because
you
you kind of
me.
knew.
You scared me.
You kind of knew that I had these gifts, and so I know that you were very, very anxious. But it was interesting because I had these pictures in my mind, and as you were holding my hand, I began to get these visuals, and I watched, and suddenly those visuals came out in such exactness that I knew that you were picking up the information, and I just started to cry because I could see that what was in my mind's eye was also coming through to you in information you couldn't get unless you were getting it from another source. Another part along with that is once you began to get these pictures, then you grabbed my hand and held my hand at the end of this picture, and then began to just receive and give me information at a rapid pace and with such beautiful language and depth of understanding that, like I said, I probably cried for another 10 minutes afterwards because of the accuracy and just the way it touched my lives. And I know that Life Seal is up in front of me every day as I'm at my computer and where I do my readings at, because it reminds me and helps me to know where I came from and where I'm going. Just a great sense of peace that comes from these beautiful seals. So I encourage anybody who hasn't had one of these, please contact David, because I think you'll very much receive the beauty that is meant from these, and also be able to experience his clairvoyance and his clairsentience.
Thank you. I really appreciate you giving me the feedback on that. There's, I've been pretty fortunate because I came into this material or into this ability because of the Casey, Search for God program. I had a spiritual foundation that was set in ideals and in meditation and cooperation and working with spiritual principles of being of service. So my ideal for doing any of my spiritual work is to be helpful, hopeful, and loving. And that coin or that phrase actually has come from Ann Puryear, who was my minister and was a great psychic herself, or is a great psychic herself. And so she has taught me, along with the Casey materials, to be helpful, hopeful, and loving. And so I've really bypassed a lot of the negative kinds of experiences, and I have seen what I consider to be miracles in some of these readings of blessings to help people with pretty horrendous circumstances. I mean, they scare me. I've got to tell you, sometimes I come at these readings, I'm going like, oh my goodness, what am I going to say? And then all of a sudden, I ask God to help, or spirit, whatever, and then the flow just comes out, and so far it's been really that, helpful, hopeful, and loving.
Ooh, that's wonderful. I wanted to ask you a question about how you're able to decipher between what information you get and what information you don't get. I mean, as far as how to decipher what information, what comes in, such as is this coming from source? Is this coming, is this coming from angels?
Yes. Actually, at the beginning, what I did is I would get some information and I would ask, who is this? And so it comes from practice of trying to recognize, asking, and then recognizing the energies.
I agree with that. And I think each one of these different energies, whether it be guides or angels, even ascended masters or archangels, they all have different feelings behind them, different wavelengths that kind of help you to know who you're tapping into. And I loved what you said about just asking, who is this? Who am I talking to? Gives you the information. I'd like to invite you to come to our next show. We're going to be doing this show on mediumship, all the different aspects of mediumship, how it works, how to be able to learn mediumship, and just give some really neat stories about mediumship. So I do hope that you will join us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful day.
You don't run with the crowd. You go your own way. You don't play halfway.
We hope you enjoyed Unleashing Your Psychic Abilities with Holly Matthews. Please join us